There are moments in life when the noise finally fades, not because everything has suddenly become perfect, but because the storm has simply run out of energy. After years of rushing, worrying, pushing, arguing with life, something strange begins to happen. The chaos slows down. The emotional waves that once felt endless begin to settle, and in that quiet space, something unfamiliar appears. Stillness. For a long time, many people have been unsure what to do with it, because when life has been loud for so long, silence can feel almost uncomfortable at first. Yet somewhere within that silence, something important begins to grow. Clarity, not the kind that arrives in dramatic moments, not the kind that announces itself loudly, but the quiet kind, the kind that slowly reveals things that were impossible to see while the storm was raging. Most storms in life do not arrive all at once. They build slowly, a little pressure here, a little frustration there. Expectations are piling up over time, responsibilities multiplying without warning. At first, it feels manageable. People continue to push forward as they always have, working harder, trying to fix things, convincing themselves that everything will eventually fall back into place. But life rarely moves in straight lines. Sometimes the effort only makes the storm stronger. Emotions that were ignored begin to surface. Old disappointments that were buried quietly return. Questions about life, purpose, and direction begin to whisper in the background. And when those whispers are ignored long enough, they eventually become thunder. Anger appears. Doubt follows close behind. Some days feel hopeful again, as if everything might be turning around. Then suddenly, without warning, the weight returns. The mind circles the same thoughts again and again, trying to solve problems that may not have simple answers. It can feel like riding waves that never stop moving. One moment calm, the next moment I was overwhelmed. Many people experience this cycle at some point in life, especially when the years begin to accumulate and the path that once felt clear begins to blur. What once felt certain now feels uncertain. What once felt exciting now feels exhausting. And somewhere along the way, a quiet question begins to form. How did life become so complicated? But storms do not last forever. Even the strongest storms eventually run out of wind. And when they do, something unexpected happens. Silence. Not an empty silence, a meaningful one. When the storm finally settles, it rarely feels dramatic. There are no fireworks, no grand announcement. Instead, it often arrives quietly during ordinary moments. A slow morning with a cup of coffee, a quiet walk outside, a moment sitting alone without distractions. For the first time in a long while, the mind stops racing. Thoughts that once demanded immediate attention begin to loosen their grip. Problems that once felt enormous suddenly look smaller from a distance, and something surprising becomes clear. The storm was not only happening in life, it was happening inside. When the mind is constantly reacting, defending, worrying, and predicting, everything feels louder than it actually is. But once the mind begins to slow down, reality begins to look different. Situations that once felt impossible begin to reveal small openings. People who once seemed like enemies appear more human. Mistakes that once felt unforgivable start to look like part of the learning process. This is the quiet power of reflection. It changes perspective. In the quiet after the storm, many people begin to notice something they had forgotten. Their own thoughts, not the thoughts shaped by pressure, not the thoughts driven by fear, but the honest ones that have been waiting patiently underneath the noise. These thoughts are not loud. They speak softly. they ask simple questions. What truly matters now? What has been draining energy for too long? What no longer needs to be carried? For many people, the answers are surprisingly simple. Some battles were never necessary. Some expectations were never truly their own. Some worries were only echoes of fears that never happened. When life slows down enough to see clearly, it becomes easier to separate what truly matters from what never did. This realization does not erase the past, but it does soften it, and something else begins to grow quietly. Compassion, not only for others, but for oneself. Looking back, many people realize they were simply doing the best they could with the understanding they had at the time. The mistakes, the emotional reactions, the wrong turns, they were part of learning how to move through life. The storm was not pointless. It was a teacher. The quiet after the storm is not the end of the journey. Life will always bring new challenges, new questions, new moments of uncertainty. But once someone experiences this kind of quiet clarity, something changes. The storms no longer feel as frightening as they once did, because now there is a deeper understanding. Storms pass, and when they do, the silence they leave behind can reveal things that were impossible to see before. Sometimes, the most important discoveries in life do not arrive during the chaos. They arrive in the stillness that follows. And in that stillness, many people begin to realize something unexpected. The calm they were searching for was never somewhere far away. It was waiting patiently beneath the noise all along.